Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the nerdy news show that nobody asked for, where me and my friends hang out and we talk about nerd stuff for about an hour or so. Just for fun. Joining me today is the Dragon King, aka Big T, aka T Money, aka Sweet Tea, aka Black Merlin, aka the HNIC. He is Lord Cussalot Travis Pointer. Travis, how are you, brother?
Oh, I'm doing just fine today, Will. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a semi-special edition of Nerdy News at 420, as it is April 20th. Just out of curiosity, do you have any ideas on where the 420 myth came from,
Myth?
or the
Um,
the lore behind it, whatever I guess it stands for?
it's one of the police code or something like that, isn't it?
I heard police code. I also heard it had something to do with when kids would get out of school. They'd get out of school at like 4 o'clock or 4:05, and that 420 time was around when everybody would get out. So I've heard a couple things. I was just curious about it because I was looking up facts and I saw a couple different items this week that I was like, okay, I'm going to use that, the knowledge of where it actually came from. And police codes were one. Times when people got out of school was one. I was just curious what you guys heard and what you thought about it. But that's not why we're here today. We're here today to talk about nerdy stuff. Let's kind of dive right into it. One of the articles I sent you was from Logan Plant on IGN. The article
Hmm.
headline was How AI is Being Used to Create the Ultimate Choose Your Own Adventure Game. At first, I really wasn't sure what to think of it. So Logan Plant, he says you're standing in an open field west of a White House with a boarded front door. There's a small mailbox here. Will you open the mailbox or head for the house? The choice was yours in the opening scenario of Zork, a 1977 text based adventure game that's one of the most famous examples of the genre ever. He goes on through the article and he says, I ran into a band of goblins, recounts Nick Walton, the creator of the RPG generator called AI Dungeon. In a normal game, you might need to fight and defeat them to get the other loot, but instead I decided to befriend them and teach them how to play instruments. We ended up forming a band and performed in festivals around the country promoting human orc equality. It was such a fun example of the way that in normal games we have the illusion of choice, but in reality we have very little choice in what kind of hero we want to be. Ultimately, the gist of it, Travis, is that they're using AI now to build the ultimate choose your own and build your own adventure game. So somebody, you and I both have history in D&D. You've got the D&D group with Creation World. So somebody who's got a very imaginative way about how they game. What do you think about the idea of using AI to do something like this?
I I'm intrigued. Um, it's one of those things where used as a tool can be pretty cool. If that's all you're using, it runs the risk of dulling the process. Like you eliminate a lot of these things, you eliminate the human element from them. They're just an amalgamation of other things without a human behind it to really like give it some soul. It becomes kind of dull, and it's one of those things too where like people to like that start now won't really know the difference. But people who have have always who've been playing it before this was a thing will probably come into like it doesn't feel right, but it's still basically there. It's just not what D&D really is. So if you're comparing it to that, then you'll run that risk. But I mean, like I said, using it as a tool, like if you're, trying to come up with a scenario, like there's times when I have some blocks going on. I'm like, I don't know what to do next. And you just type something in like, oh, okay, that gives me an idea now. I can run with that and make something else, interesting out of it. If you're using it that way, cool. It's kind of the same way I see AI art going. It's just like if you use it as a like kind of like something to get you started to figure out what you want to do from there, I'm cool with that. It's when you use it as a replacement that bothers me.
Some companies have started using it. They've started using AI in place of content writers.
Yeah.
And I was curious about it because you're a DM. You've used it, or you haven't used it. Sorry, as a DM, would you use it rather in your campaigns? I guess. Like, is that something that, like you said, you'd use it as a tool? But do you think you would want it to be everything at the end of it? Would you want it to be
No,
ultimately replace you as a dungeon master.
no, because I like creating stories and I like making scenarios for people to react to and then reacting to that in turn and that back and forth that I get with that. That's what I enjoy about Dungeons and Dragons. Like I'm one of those people. I've always been more introverted. It's hard for you people to tell because I do this all the time, but this is easy for me because I'm not actually around people.
It's the
Um,
same thing I say. I'm an introvert who pretends to be an extrovert.
yeah, and even when I play D&D, people would not guess it at all. But I'm an observer. I like to see things. I like to see what's going to happen. You know, people's reactions to things are what interests me and gets me excited. Seeing like, oh, what will happen if I do this? How will they respond to this? Or this person is going to do something really weird. I see it happening. This is going to be really stupid. But what's everybody else going to do after this person does something very stupid? You know. And so that's what I like about D&D is, putting a scenario out there and seeing what they do in response to that. And then, well, I have this world. How does the world respond to that? Because I've created the rules for this world. So it's the AI, if you're using that by itself, takes that away from me. And I don't enjoy that.
Allison made the joke that it's D&D for people without friends. I don't think I could get behind it completely. The idea of it being like the create your own game is one thing because I've played a few text-based adventure games that were kind of cool where you have to read it and use your imagination and you go through all that. Maybe that would be cool because it would be this infinite rabbit hole of directions that the story could go ahead of time and you would have no idea. But I think, like you said, it would be best used as a tool for anything past that. Because any game that I play, I would think about ways AI could be used. And the one that's fresh on my mind is Legends of Zelda, because Tears of the Kingdom. Like, if we use that in Legends of Zelda, AI wouldn't be able to give us a proper Legends of Zelda game.
Yeah, you would not have gotten Tears of the Kingdom if you said AI make another game like Breath of the Wild. You would have just got Breath of the Wild again without the new things that Tears of the Kingdom is bringing and the iterations that it's giving you. Like it might give you some improvements because you'll say like, make this better or something, whatever you say to AI to make it, fix things and make things more interesting and all that kind of stuff. But Tears of the Kingdom is not what you would have got. And I'm not a fan of living in that world.
I like the human contact, like the interaction, even if it is via Zoom or StreamYards or a Streamlabs invite. This interaction is okay for me, but I feel like removing it one more step away from reality is
Mm-hmm.
not really my thing. Let's talk about another short thing before we dive into our first trailer for the day, and that's the Google Pixel Fold. Some price and other details have leaked. It's not really so much about the Google Pixel. Out of curiosity, Travis, are you an iPhone or an Android person?
I am 100% Droid.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, when I sent you the video, it was only a couple minutes long. I'll post the link. But when you saw it and it got leaked, as an Android person, this makes this conversation a lot cooler because I'm not hip as the kids would say to what's happening with Android. When you see the innovations of the new Google Pixel, is it just another version of the Galaxy Fold or whatever it was called?
Well, sir, as someone who has the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip,
Okay, bingo. That is perfect. See, this is why you're my boy, Travis. This is it.
I saw that and I was just like, I mean, cool story, bro. We already had that.
You've
But
had it for yeah. So compared
like
to
this
what
is
you
actually the second flip,
okay,
so it's like it's not even like it just happened. This is the second one. So and the fold is another one. It's like this is the flip, and then there's also the fold that goes up open like the Pixel one does. So it's just like, okay, I mean, it's cool, y'all are catching up. you know,
okay,
this
I
is
was, I
okay.
was. It's perfect that you have the Samsung version of it because I was curious about it. The when I sent you and I was like, hey, I just kind of want to talk about phone tech. I
Yeah.
find myself pulled into that Apple vortex because I use a
Yeah.
Mac, I've got an iPhone,
Hmm.
I've got an Apple Watch. We've got a MacBook that we use on the road, so it's like we kind of fell into that vortex. When you made the decision to be an Android person, what has kept you? What's the one feature when it comes to those phones that keep you on Android? Then
Freedom.
Is it because of the Opera user interface and all of that?
Hmm. Exactly. There's a lot of things that I end up getting access to that iPhone users just couldn't do for a long time. Me being, who I am in my channel, you all know this. For a long time, um, one thing that Android had that iPhones didn't have was a Pornhub app, and they took that away. But that was just an example because it's just like you're not going to get that on iPhone. And the thing is, you couldn't get that app from the official Google Play Store. You had to go to the website and they give you the file from that, download that file from that website, and then you got to there's a whole process to doing it, but you can get other things. It was just like when Pokemon Go first came out, and it was like it was released in regions at different points in time. It wasn't released in my region yet, but guess what? I was able to get that AO file or whatever it is. I forgot what it's called, and boom, I can get it now. Now there people were saying like, "Oh, you do that, they'll block you from you." I'm like, "No, they won't. They don't care that much." It's just it's a lot of things like with music and all that kind of stuff. The different things I can do with music. I feel like with y'all, you can only really get your music through Apple Music or whatever it's called,
Yeah,
or
Apple Music,
iTunes.
Spotify, or Amazon Prime are really. There's no third-party music software on the Apple OS right now.
We can get music from anywhere. Just put it on the phone. So it's just like that freedom is what I like about it. But yeah. And me getting this phone in particular was specifically because I remember saying to myself, I missed the days with the flip phone where I was hanging up on somebody and
You
I
can
felt it
actually
when I
flip it.
and I felt it when I hung up on them. Like it's just like if I hang up angry and all I did was press a little thing on a screen, that's not as impactful for me as if I'm like, fuck you and pow,
Bam. You get the delivery of it.
Exactly.
The follow up to this is with it being leaked. We've discussed it, with the Minecraft stuff and the Discord things, with government leaks with the Ukraine. We brought it up with something last week when you and I were on the show. I can't remember right offhand, but here it is just another
The Zelda leak, wasn't it?
It was the Zelda leak, yeah, because they're going into that Discord file to subpoena the guys that were responsible for that one. With as many leaks as we get now, and like you just said, you're holding the second generation version of the Samsung in your hand. Are these leaks really that big anymore? Like important anymore?
I feel like for phones, probably not. Um, but things like movies and games and all that kind of stuff, that's a bit different because when footage leaks when it's not ready yet, it can be a problem. People are like, oh, this looks like trash, and people aren't realizing like, yo, this is like pre alpha stuff. Where like this game isn't close to being anything close to what resembles what might be done in 2 years. Like it's just like, but you're like, oh, this looks so bad. I'm like, no, dude, this isn't the game at all. But it looks like you got these graphics. I'm like, yeah, it looks like a game that came out this year, but this isn't supposed to come out this year. It's supposed to come out in like 2 years, and you're seeing it so early. This is not what the game looks like. So it's just there's that problem, but then also with movies, it's just like spoilers and all that kind of stuff.
I've
But
seen
phones, I'm like, who gives a shit?
I've seen bootleg movies where I'm like, I could understand why somebody would be pissed about that. Where it's like they got into an early release or something and it's obviously recorded on somebody's phone. So you got
Yeah.
early. Like, that's different. I understand why they're mad with that. But in this situation with a phone, if the technology is already out there and you're just competing, then I wouldn't even call it a leak. I would just be like, just play it off as an early release or something, because
Yeah.
calling it a leak makes me feel like something big got out. And when you watch the video, like I said, it's like 60, 90 seconds long. It's not a super long video. And when you look at it, you're like, okay, this is the same shit they've had for 2 years already or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Allison did say she was worried about the middle part of the screen wearing out, like the hinge. And that was one thing the Google Pixel Fold said they reinforced was that little fucking hinge right there in the center. So that might be the edge, Travis. That might be where they're getting it from you.
We'll see. Like I said, this is the second iteration of it, so I imagine Samsung did that too. But if that's a problem, like I'm just seeing the way this is made, it's not even looking like it would be. I don't know. I don't know if you can really see, but like the way it's built is just. Hold on, let me take the case off of it because I'm one. I have to have a case on my phone, or I will definitely drop it and break it.
I'm
But
the worst right now.
but yeah, the way it's the way it's made, like it's not. This is like a whole solid piece right here.
That's
So
cool. Okay.
yeah.
See, we're diving into it. I've had an iPhone since the iPhone 4, and I've never gone back. The last Android I think was a Galaxy S4 maybe before I switched over to the iPhone 4, and that was my last one. So it's been a long time since I've had an Android.
So she's saying the screen part is what she's worried about. I mean, there's it's not going to wear out. It's made. You can tell it's made to fold because there's a little bit of like a bit of a
Little
crease
crease
there.
or
But when you're
something?
really like using it, you don't notice it. It's just you only really notice it more when the phone's not on. Like, it's one of those. But yeah.
Okay. It's time for a trailer. Do you want to watch a action trailer or a horror trailer?
Let's go horror.
Let's go horror. We're gonna watch the Insidious: The Red Door trailer.
Okay, okay. I know
Um,
these movies exist. I haven't seen them because I'm not big on horror, but
Not a big
I know
horror
them.
guy. I think we're set up. I know there's probably still no audio on your side quite yet, but I'm still trying to figure that out. So I apologize, but we're gonna
No
play this
big.
trailer and check it out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Audiences are
Oh,
loving
what the hell? I jumped to an
the
ad.
biggest movie
Oh.
in the world.
That was unexpected. I had it all queued up. I thought I was ready.
It
And then
happens.
boom.
JJ.
What's up, JJ? Thanks for stopping by. All right, there we go.
We're ready to forget the further, once and for all.
So, with you not being a big horror fan, have you seen the other Insidious
Brain's
movies?
just been
I have
foggy
not.
the past few years.
Okay.
All I ever wanted was to be a good dad.
Dalton.
I feel like this guy's in every horror movie that's been released in the last 10 years.
Renee.
Did you ever try and get help?
Nah, I'm just trying to push through.
Why don't you drive Dalton to college? You still have a few weeks before your students show up, right? Just an idea to reconnect. I know it's been tough with you too.
The
Tying
balance of
everything
light
back in
and
is kinda
dark
cool,
is
like
what we're
wrapping all the
after.
stories
You're in the art school, I
together.
take it?
Okay, okay.
You
So this
could
is
you
all
too?
meaning something
Yes.
to you.
Yeah, introducing
Grow
his
and
kid
experience
back into
that
the story
defines
now
you.
as an older adult.
When I was 10. I was in a coma,
JJ's freaking out. She's
but I
not
don't even
watching.
remember being sick.
She just heard a bunch of
Sink
guys screaming
deep
all of a sudden
into
on the
your
street. She
memories.
wasn't sure what was happening.
And let's see what light can find.
Oh man.
Seeing crazy stuff.
I think these drawings could be clues from my past.
There's so much you don't know. And I was too scared to tell you the truth.
Our family has been keeping secrets. They suppressed our memories, but I can still feel something following us.
There's only one way to find out.
Okay, so they're bringing stuff back from
I
every
feel like
movie
I'm getting
for
closer to
this.
something. There's something
The whole
getting closer
idea
to
is pretty much that it's different points in this guy's life. In each
Okay,
movie.
okay.
Awaken the dead. The further you travel, the riskier your journey will become.
I see.
Red Door. All right, you said you weren't big on a big horror guy. When you look at a series like Insidious now, when you start getting 4, 5, 6 movies deep, the other trailer we're gonna watch later is Fast and the Furious 10. When you think a series gets that deep into it, do you ever get to the point where you feel like they're just kind of grasping for straws at this point?
I mean, yeah, that happens with anything that goes, for a long time. Like even shows that go for lots of seasons. You look up and you're just like, why are we still here? Let's do something else. Let's get some different people in here, or let's tell a new story. Why are we still here? even if you're gonna tell different stories in that world, cool. But like bringing back these same people, you got to just the only way to do it is to add more people on top of the people that are already there to keep it interesting, and eventually it gets diluted, and you're like, I'm over this now. It's kind of what happened with the Arrowverse, all the shows that were there. They went too long. Like it is what it is. We're on the final season of The Flash right now. We're just let's get to the end of this now. Like these last 3 episodes have just been painful.
Talking about Arrow, when you talk about Stephen Amell, he's been that character for so long, and I still don't think of Stephen Amell as the Green Arrow. That's not the
Really?
that's not the first role I think of with him.
It is for me. What do you think of first?
I immediately go Hills, and I know that's a shameless plug because of the wrestling side of it. But like,
I like that show too.
I watched Arrows, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Like some of it was I've never finished the whole series or anything. It wasn't one that kind of gripped me and drugged me into it. But like for some reason, that's never the role that I go to. And I think of like he had stuff to do. And my exposure to him wasn't with this show. I knew he was there, but the first time that I really think about him as anything was when he started getting involved with Ring of Honor. When he was like going with Cody and shit like that. That's when I first got to know him. And then I saw him in Heels, and then it made the connection. Oh yeah, this is the guy from Arrow. So like even in such a long role, when a series gets to this point, and I run this joke with Fast and the Furious, so we'll talk about that one specifically when we get there. Like, I use the analogy they're making mountains out of molehills when it comes to some of it. Like they'll take a piece of the story to make a whole movie out of it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, does that really need to be told? Is that a story that needed its whole in the Star Wars saga, the story of Solo? Like it was a cool movie, but did it have to be made? Was that part of the lore that needed to be put on the big screen? Or was it just a cash grab?
It was a cash grab. It was definitely a cash grab.
And I feel that way with some of these movies now. I'm kind of like, okay, it's the 6th Insidious movie or 5th Insidious movie now. Like, did we need 5 of them? Like, that's my bigger question. And I know I played the trailer. I like horror movies. But it's like when a series gets that long, have they kind of like, at what point do they start wearing out their welcome, I guess?
Yeah. Like to take it back to The Flash, like I said, we're in season 9. This is the last season. And other people have talked about this before. Where like the only way to keep these things interesting is by adding more characters. And the problem is when you're adding more characters in a show like this, you're adding more superheroes, which means you're adding more powers and all that kind of stuff. And at this point, you're just like, how do you make this interesting now? Because they have like an entire squad here. This person has this power. This one is speed. This one does light stuff. This is the tech person over here. And this one does ice. And this one does. You got to start doing something to make them have a real threat. And now the villains don't make sense because it's like, yo, they could have beat this dude if they just did this. Because they have all these things here now. So it's just there's a lot of it that's I don't know. You get tired of it. I'm not tired of superhero shows. I'm just tired of things like sticking around too long is what I mean.
One of the things Disney's approach is they've started to cut back a lot in phase 5 of the MCU and some of their on-screen series. They've started cutting back with the whole quality over quantity thing where they're putting out great content versus just a ton of content. And I feel like in some ways Hollywood in general may work out for them better. Does every series or show need a remake? Does everything need a number 2? And I feel like Hollywood for the last few years has just been pumping out content without necessarily focusing on the quality of it.
Well, I mean, the way I see it with remakes, at least, to me, I feel like it's depending on how far it is between the two of them. It's like, okay, this was a cool story. Introduce some new people to it, like younger people and all that. And then people who get upset and like, oh, they're ruining my child. I'm like, no, they're not, because that thing that was made back then, that still exists. You can still watch that. Like, best example I have of that is The Lion King. When they remade The Lion King with the CG. It wasn't live action, but it was, people called it live action.
The live action.
Yeah. It was all CGI. But I didn't dislike it, but it was like, I'm okay without it. but the good thing about it is, if I want to watch The Lion King, I can still watch the one from the '90s. Like,
Agreed.
if given the choice, if I say I'm going to watch The Lion King, and I'm like, well, which one do you want to watch? I'm going to watch the one from the '90s because that's the one I like. So it's fine that it exists. It was a good time. I went to go see that with my mom and my sister and her and my nephew. And the funny thing about that is the reason why I could have gone to see that early, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait because I was in Texas at the time, but I knew I was going to Florida to visit my family, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait to go see this till I get there because honestly, the original Lion King, I know I went to other movies before that, but the first movie I remember going to see with my mom was The Lion King. So it's just like, I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna talk her into taking me to go see this movie. So it's just,
That's perfect. That's a great
Yeah.
story, though. Do you have a favorite Disney movie? I know that's opening a can of worms.
Lion
but
King doesn't count. So outside of that, because that's just, to me, that's on a level out on its own, and it's unfair to compare other movies to that. But I go kind of back and forth between the Aristocats and Aladdin and the Jungle Book. Those three are like when I'm like, which one? It just depends on what day you ask me. It'll usually be the Aristocats that edges it out, and it's strange hearing that from me because I'm not a cat person, but the cats in that movie are different.
I was never a cat person until recently. I have 2 kittens that I took on as my own, and I was never a cat person until now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, everybody wants to be a cat is my jam.
I'm an Aladdin guy, followed very closely by Toy Story.
I mean, make way for Prince Ali. That's a jam too.
For sure. But
Usually it's the songs in Disney that gets me. Like that one, like I said, make
If
way
they've
for
got
Prince Ali.
bangers.
That parade song.
yeah,
Yeah.
a banger soundtrack can make or break a movie for
Yeah.
sure. I agree
Like
with that.
Jungle Book, I Want to Be Like You.
Oh,
Shit.
yeah.
Like, definitely.
Al says we have 5 cats at the house. You can have one.
No, I'm okay.
Speaking of remakes in Hollywood, Travis, are you a Godzilla or King Kong fan?
Take it or leave it. I'll watch them. I still haven't seen the recent one. It's one that's like another thing I saw. I'm like, oh, I should definitely check that out, and then never got around to it.
This article coming from Bloody Disgusting, thanks to John Squires. The new movie coming out, Godzilla versus Kong: The New Empire. Warner Brothers Pictures and Legendary Pictures have announced the official title for the latest installment of the MonsterVerse film series. They've also debuted a mysterious title announcement reveal video foreshadowing what lies ahead for the 2 legendary titans, which you can check out below. It's about a 40-second teaser trailer. Coming off the heels of the successes of Godzilla vs. Kong, breakout director Adam Wingard returns to the MonsterVerse and is joining by the cast, including Rebecca Hall as Dr. Lean Andrews and Brian Tyree Henry as fan favorite Bernie Hayes. So they're bringing back a lot of the cast. Looking at the universe of Godzilla versus King Kong, and kind of playing off of what we were just talking about, is this one of those series where they're just making another movie and another installment to make another movie and another installment?
I can't say for sure because I haven't seen the recent 2.
Okay.
But I don't think they're in that territory yet. Probably if they make another one after this, then yeah. Because, you've had Godzilla versus King Kong. Honestly, you're a wrestling fan. There's usually nothing wrong with a rematch,
No, absolutely not.
But once you get into it, they have the same match over and over again. Now I'm over it.
You start running
Right.
that 50-50 booking range where, like, how many times can they go back and forth?
Yeah, exactly. So you're over it eventually. But, one return match, I'm cool with it.
I like the Bryan Cranston one. I'm a Bryan Cranston fan in general. I was always a Breaking Bad fan. Top 5 shows all time for me.
I like
But when
Billy
he was in
Cranston
the
more
role,
than
it was
Bryan
cool.
Cranston.
Sorry?
Nothing. I said I like Billy Cranston more than Bryan Cranston. That was a Power Rangers joke. That's all.
Billy Cranston.
Yeah.
He was the Blue Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was making sure. I was like, there's only one Billy that I can think of. But yeah, Billy the Blue Ranger. But when it comes to King Kong and Godzilla, this is one of those I'll probably watch it when it goes to streaming. I don't think I'll pay, $15-16 a ticket to go see this one in theaters. I was curious about your take on it, with it being another one, and because they've done good movies. We had the Jack Black King Kong not too long ago, and I say not too long ago, it's probably been 8 years now, but the Jack Black King Kong, we had the Bryan Cranston Godzilla. Like, it seems like we keep getting these, but they're always that upper mid-card, never main event blockbuster action movies.
Yeah, but you need those too. You
gotta
you can't have all main events.
Let's head over to Screen Rant and let's talk about Ryan Reynolds for a second.
Okay.
What do you think about Deadpool?
I love Deadpool.
Did you like the second one as much as the first one? Did you feel like it took a dip after that? Were you one of those people?
No. It was what I expected the second movie to be. It was just like, okay, give me more of that. Oh, you gave me more of that? Yeah. Do it again.
This article comes from Andy Beback. That might be how you pronounce his last name. I apologize for that. Ryan Reynolds teases the X-Force will possibly return in Deadpool 3 as the upcoming Deadpool sequel gets closer to the starting production this year. X-Force may not be returning in Deadpool 3 as... That's weird. Because he says right there, X-Force may be returning in Deadpool 3 as Ryan Reynolds hints the team lives on. While the old X-Men franchise is over, Wade Wilson will get to continue his adventures in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. While details are still under wraps, Deadpool 3 will integrate Reynolds' character into the larger MCU. As filming is taking place later this year, Deadpool 3 has been filling up its cast with for principal photography. However, it appears that a familiar team is possibly showing up in the Deadpool threequel. From the Marvel Cinematic Universe tie-in, this is looks like it's kind of a question of with the X-Men tying over into the MCU, how they're going to do that. As a Marvel fan, though, what's your level of excitement just for the fact that we can confirm now that we're getting a Deadpool 3 altogether?
Oh, well, yeah, that's always, I'm good with more Deadpool because the thing about him is they keep him far enough apart to where you have enough time to miss him before he comes back. And there's enough, of the typical superhero movies in between so that, you get this and it's fresh and it's, an interesting thing to have in the midst of everything that's already happening. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's kind of like, it's why The Boys is good because you wouldn't like The Boys. You wouldn't find it as interesting as it is if the MCU didn't exist, So it's just having Deadpool come in and disrupt things in the middle every now and then is fun. So just do it again.
Just keep giving us the hits.
Yeah.
I liked the Easter eggs in Deadpool with like the one scene in the second one where they open the door and the whole cast of the X-Men universe is like shoved in a broom closet hiding from him. Like, that's what I liked about Deadpool. The little bits where they break the fourth wall, because I enjoy, as silly as it sounds, we all know it's not a real world, but having him break that fourth wall to us makes it feel like, you're part of it. And as silly as that sounds, that little bit of connection makes it for me in the Deadpool series, because a lot of times that anti-hero doesn't hit quite right, but Deadpool's able to make it happen just, consecutively time and time again. So I don't feel like it would have to be a pretty rough shot for them to bail on a Deadpool movie.
Yeah. One thing though, I gotta rewind back to something else we were talking about earlier. How does one end up with 5 cats?
She had 3 before I moved in, and I have the 2 that I claimed. My sister's also a crazy cat lady. My sister, legitimately, I would probably venture to say she's upwards of double digits, if she's not already at double digits now.
Good Lord. That's...
Yeah.
Jeez.
So she had a litter of kittens, and where I was living at the time, I took 2 with me. And then when I moved in here with Al, I couldn't just leave the 2 kittens. So she inherited my 2 cats when she inherited, a hobo will. And
you could have let them keep the place when you moved out. Like, this is your house now. And
this is the cat's house. No, this is your house now, kittens. Y'all handle it. That's probably what I should have done in reality. They're driving us crazy. We have 5 cats now, and but my sister has like 10, and it was her fault that I ended up with the 2 that I have.
Okay, we can move on. I keep looking and seeing the 5 cats, and I'm
And you're
like,
like, how the hell does somebody have 5
how does it
cats?
get there? It just like, and I know how 5 cats can exist in a place. I was just
Well,
interested as to how you got there because you
these
don't just set out and
particular
say,
5.
I just don't. I know you don't just set out and say I'm gonna have 5 cats. So it's just like, how did you get to 5? Was what was interesting.
Oh yeah, and there's 2 dogs. Those were 100% before I got here. I had nothing to do with the dogs.
Oh, so she was basically running a shelter before you got there. Got you.
Uh-huh.
Got
And
you.
before me, there was another guy that lived here, and his name was Dane. She's like the wayward place for, hobo guys and wayward animals apparently. That's what Al does. Is she
Did you
brings
say
us in.
5 chicken? You know what? We're gonna
2
just.
cats, a dog, and 5 chickens. Des has a menagerie, and Al has a petting zoo. There's a difference. Like it's two very like yeah, it's 5 chickens.
I know somebody that has chickens, but like they have a place that's like meant to have chickens, kind of like they got like basically a farm where they live. Like they're the kind of people they grow their own food and shit, you know. So it's just okay.
We got one more article. Let's stick with the old comic books and jump over to Superman Legacy. This coming in from IGN with Adele anchors range. James Gunn has announced that pre-production is now officially underway on Superman Legacy, the movie that will kick off the DCU's Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters in July of 2025. Gunn shared a photo of the Superman Legacy script cover page on Twitter, confirming in his tweet that the movie had entered early pre-production and the team are moving forward with costumes, production design, and more to get ready for the cameras to start rolling. The article goes on. Superman Legacy is set to hit theaters on July 11th, 2025, so we're still 2 years out. It'll be the first title officially released under Gunn and fellow DC Studios co-head Peter Safran, who are calling the DCU's Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. It will be followed by Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 on October 3rd of 2025. Travis, what are your thoughts on DC pushing everything back now James Gunn is behind the wheel?
I mean, when you got somebody new in charge, he's going to want to put his vision in there. So it's going to take some time. I'm cool with it. So it's just like, honestly, you're going to be doing this, do it. You don't have to tell me anything until you're ready to show me something. I don't, you're going into I don't care that you're working on a script. Yeah, no shit. You got a movie coming out in a couple of years. Like, you don't, there's no reason for you to tell me that. Like, tell me something when you got a trailer to show me. Like, I feel the same way about games too. Like, yeah, this studio has something they're working on. We're not going to tell you anything about it, but guess what? We're working on something. Like, yeah, no shit. You're a functioning game studio.
It's like Grand Theft Auto 6 has been in the works since Grand Theft Auto 5 got released. Like, no shit, it's coming. Eventually, it took you 30 years to get us Grand Theft Auto 5, it felt like.
Yeah, worth the wait, by the way. But I'm just like, yeah, all of it. Like you said, GTA 6, like that was one of those things when the leak happened. People saw all that footage and all that kind of stuff. We're talking about how it looks. I'm like, yo, that game's not coming out to like 2027. Like, I need y'all to chill right now. There is nowhere near being close to done. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but still, it's just like.
Well, Grand Theft Auto 5 has been played on the PlayStation 3, 4, and 5 now.
Yeah.
So it's 3 generations for that one game. And
I remember when that game came out. I took the day off when that game came out. The day it was released, I was supposed to work. I'm like, no, I'm not working this day. So, a couple weeks before that, request that day off. And that was when I had to wait for it to come in the mail from Amazon because that wasn't getting day one digital wasn't the thing for me back then.
Did you ever do the midnight release for your games?
Oh yeah. One I specifically remember doing was Saints Row the Third.
I loved that game. That was the one, the purple themed one, right? The one that was on the front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most of them is because their colors are purple and gold and silver. But yeah, I remember going to GameStop at midnight to pick that game up.
I did Fallout 4. I did Halo 4 and Halo 5. Skyrim was another one that I did where I went to midnight releases for. When I was in college, that was kind of my go-to thing. Like I would get them as soon as they came out, and then pretty much be shot for a day or two because they would come
Yeah,
out
it
on
was fun.
Tuesdays too, which never made any sense to me.
Do you know that? Well, it's one of those things that I know now just because of like books and stuff. The this book I read, Console Wars. It was about Super Nintendo and Sega, and the whole games coming out on Tuesday thing is because of this.
Really?
Basically, yeah. Basically, what happened was games used to just come out whenever they came out. It wasn't like everything happened on the same day. It was whenever it got to your store, fine. But Sega decided they were going to do a thing when they were going to release all the games at the same time on the same day and make it a big event called it Sonic Tuesday and all that kind of stuff. And they're the reason why games come out on Tuesdays now.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Like that's good. That's kind of cool. Like we've talked about it before on Matt's favorite platform that you guys release your content on. That specific the adult film industry, we'll call it, has decided the last 3 or 4 major platforms, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, like it decided the deciding factors where it went was the reasons why those platforms became the big ones. And it's amazing to see like the influences that it, like weird things like that have.
The adult industry and gaming push technology.
Yeah.
It's literally what happens. Like VR, who's pushing it right now?
100% the hub. But that's kind of funny that those two things, the ones that people are like, oh, you're an adult, you got to get past that. No, motherfucker, it's the driving force in the free world right now. You're
Your
crazy. If
4K
you think...
TV is thanks to video games.
Yeah.
Like,
Your 4K TV is for video games, and the internet is as big as it is because of porn. 1000%. Just call a spade a spade.
yeah.
All right, Travis, we got one more trailer, and then we'll start getting ready to wrap it up. It's Fast and the Furious 10. I'm going to switch it over here, and, well, there we go. Switch that over there. Get that done. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. All right. And we're off. Are you a Fast and the Furious guy?
Somewhat. I honestly haven't seen one since the first one with The Rock in it, but I enjoyed them when I was, when I remember that they exist and I watch it. That's really what it is. The only thing that really stops me from watching them is like once they're out, I'm always in the middle of something else. I'm like, I'll get to those, and it just never happens. I forget they exist until there's a new one, and then at that point it's like I don't even remember where I'm at anymore. I don't remember which one that was, and it's just okay.
Big explosions. I
What
watched
is this fear?
It is. It's just a big bomb, I guess. There it is. Okay, I was right. And then Aquaman with the creepy snake jacket.
He's always called Drogo to me.
Fast and the Furious for me, I think it was the one right after Tokyo Drift, so obviously it's Fast 4 or whatever. That was the last one I remember seeing in theaters. I think
that was the one that was just called Fast and Furious.
Yeah?
I think so. I don't know for sure though.
5 through 9, I've slowly pieced them together, but I can't tell you anything specific about each one up to this point.
All I know is the last one that came out, Tyrese and Ludacris went to space.
Okay, well, I mean, there's nothing...
In a car.
Okay, that's very Elon Musk of them.
Like they literally took a car and drove a car and took off into space, but putting a rocket on top of a car or some shit. Yeah.
The Fast and the Furious is like, what was the Sly Stallone series? The where all the action guys got together, the Indestructibles or whatever. What was the name of that series? That's the point. Is this what Fast?
Expendables.
The Expendables. That's what Fast and the Furious is becoming now for this generation. It's like every action star imaginable, like crammed into a movie. See, they got Captain Marvel now.
Yeah, I remember when Expendables came out. Though I fucking loved that movie. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. I do like enjoy. Like it's funny. I saw Cena in this again. I'm like, oh yeah, I said it on while they were watching this on Creation Conversation. I'm like, yep, John Cena. The guy you get when you don't have The Rock.
If you can't afford Dwayne Johnson, you get John Cena in this place. Has The Rock had a Fast and the Furious moment? Do you know?
What do you mean?
Has he been in Fast and the Furious in the past? Has he been in one of them?
The Rock? Oh, he's been in a few of them. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So, but like I said, once again, I've seen anything past 4 is kind of pieced together for me. I'm not.
Yeah,
exactly
he has.
Sure.
He's been in quite a few of them. He just hasn't been in. I don't think he's just not in this. This one coming up. I don't remember if he was in the last one or not. But he had his own spinoff movie with Jason Statham, Hobbs and Shaw.
I did know that. I did know Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know why I was so blown away by him being. I did know about that one. I've never seen it though. I do like Jason Statham. He's that go-to. My favorite movie he's ever been in was Snatch though. Same guy who did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and all of that.
Okay.
Fantastic. Got Brad Pitt in it. He plays a gypsy, like an Irish, like gypsy that lives in a caravan, and he's a bare knuckle boxer. And I know that sounds like the most ridiculous thing to describe Brad Pitt as, but it's a fantastic movie.
I saw Fight Club. I think he can pull it off.
Oh, he absolutely can. All right, Travis, we've done all the damage we can do today, my friend. Plug your stuff. Tell everybody what's going on over at Creation World and what's new and exciting.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for having me. I'm I'm glad to fill in whenever you need me. We always have a good time together. On Creation World, don't forget you can catch us Monday through Friday, lunchtime, all those days, 1:00 Eastern, noon Central. Twitch.tv/Creation World, also YouTube.com/Creation World for the Creation Conversation every day. Also, Friday nights, you can get the Warden Matt Ritter, Vince Daddy Delgado, and Katie Kinsey Bebe on Smacking It Raw, the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub. Also, you can catch me interviewing different people on a regular basis on our channel, Creators in Creation, where I'm talking to different creators in media because creators are cool. Let them highlight themselves and celebrate them and their work and art in general. You can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at Lord_Cussalott. That is at LORD_CUSSALOTT. You can find Creation World on all the things at It's Creation World, ITSCREATIA World.
Well, I appreciate everybody for stopping by for the second episode of Nerdy News. Everybody in the chat, just hit the like, follow, hit the subscribe, do all the stuff. Leave us 5-star reviews. And we appreciate you just hanging out with us for a little bit and enjoying your 420 break with us. For Travis Pointer, I'm the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.
Peace.